What's going on, you guys? Charles here from Traders Corner, back with another day of just executing. In this video, we're also going to look at a very important topic, and that is building your trading like a business and looking at a template model that you can use to actually do that and do it more efficiently and effectively than a lot of people would tell you on the internet. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope it provides some value to you guys. If you like the video, please take some time to like and subscribe. We would really appreciate it. Now, if you want access to the template that we're going to review today, please check it out in a link in the description below, as well as a link to a very simple 5-step trading strategy that anyone could use to get started in the market. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it provides some value to you guys. What's going on, you guys? Charles here from the Traders Corner, and today we're going to be talking about a very important topic, and that is building business around your trading. So let's get started. So, like I said, my name is Charles. This is the Traders Corner, and today we're going to be talking about something very important, and that's the idea of making your trading like a business. Now, this is something that a lot of people talk about and kind of pontificate about and give little tidbits here and there, but they never really go deeper into what it really means to make your trading like a business. They might say something like, oh, you have to monitor your performance. Oh, you have to make sure that you're taking it seriously. You're keeping track of your expenses. Like, well, all those things are good. How does it, how would you go about setting up a business, right? The same way, if you're, just a regular entrepreneur and you decide that you want to start a bakery, there's a lot of templates out there for how you could start a bakery, right? But I don't really see the same a lot for starting your trading like a business, right? Now, this isn't going to be the most exhaustive thing, but essentially, I read this book here called Trading Psychology 2.0 by Brett Steenbarger. Very good book. If you haven't read it, I'll definitely go pick it up. But read this book here, and a lot of what he talked about in this book was this idea of how to treat your trading like a business. Now, he mentioned different things in it throughout the book, but instead of having, you having to read all of that to get this, I guess you would say, takeaway from the book, because there's a lot of other takeaways that I would definitely go read besides just treating your trading like a business. But from, aside from taking this, I wanted to maybe distill it down for you guys, because this is kind of what I've taken from the time reading the book, about across the book in all the places where he talked about treating your trading like a business, right? So first and foremost, a vision statement. Now, this is something that I often, personally, especially when I got into, business school, I was a finance major in college, they would always talk about this idea of like vision statements, mission statements, and like I used to always think it was kind of phooey, like who really cares? You're gonna work, you're not gonna work. But I definitely get it now, because it's just good to remind yourself constantly of like what it is that you're trying to get into, why you're trying to do it that way, right? And so this is my treating trading like a business, I guess you would say, first draft. Now from here, what I did was I went out and I built different things, different platforms that I needed or anything like that to make sure that I was actually able to do these things in an efficient manner on the weekends, right? So this is mine, this is my draft, right? And I actually use this as well because, a goal of mine is to raise capital on the side. And so because of that, I need to set up more of like a fund structure. And I actually used this to help me set that up as well. So first and foremost, you have a vision statement, like I said, and this is more from my time doing short-term trading. If I would adjust this, which I should go adjust this, I would actually say that I use algorithmic models to profit from short-term fluctuations, or I attempt to use algorithmic models to profit from short-term fluctuations, while I'll discretionarily trade swing trading models. Then on top of that, we have the information gathering. Now this one was a little, again, this was from my time being a short-term trader, intraday trader. So this was a little bit, I guess you would say, light. Like if you're a fundamental trader or you use quants, or you use models, this might be a little bit more extensive for you in this area. But for me, it was really just about, different ideas of what I might be able to trade. That was the main thing that I wanted to get out of the information gathering, and so that's kind of where you saw these things come in, right? Some of these podcasts or like articles, I don't exactly like subscribe to them in terms of saying like, oh, I really believe everything that they're saying, but I really believe in the idea of herd mentality. And I'm never gonna, sniff at the fact that people might have a vast following. So I think a good example of that is like Mad Money by Jim Cramer. He gets a lot of flack in the industry Whether he does or doesn't, that's not really up for my debate. I don't really care. But what I'm saying is, a lot of people follow him, whether y'all think it's good or not. And because of that, when he does say stuff, or he does talk about stuff, there might be volume in what it is that he's talking about. People might be starting to try to transact in that thing. I'm not going to say whether he's right or wrong in the direction he's telling them to transact, but there could be opportunities there, and I'm all just about opportunities. Next, we have analysis and watch list building. Again, this was very short for me because I was a short-term trader, right? And I really didn't want to do a whole lot of watch list building at the time when I built this, this rough draft out. The focus wasn't really to do a lot of watch list building, but I still put it in there in case I moved into a state of trading where I wanted to expand my watch list a bit, right? But I didn't really do a lot of watch list building at the time, and the reason was because I just wanted to focus on a few pairs and really learn their tendencies very well, right? But I also did have, some other types of watch lists that I would build. So as you see here, what's called Moat Analysis. I'm one new company in FinViz. So basically what I was doing is there's, certain metrics that you can use to decide, okay, this company has a competitive advantage or a good quote unquote moat around it. And I wanted to do that and just kind of look into those things kind of on a regular basis to see, if anything was dropping in or dropping out of, in those parameters, and kind of seeing if that's something I would be interested in getting involved in, right? Trading network. Now, again, this is something that's pretty small for me, but it's something I'm working on now. When I was building this out, that's kind of something that showed me I needed to get better at networking. So right now I just got Daniel, Odie, Amber, right? And these are people who I really trust their opinion on, at least one side of the market. I think Daniel is very good at technical analysis, as well as Amber. Amber has a lot of good technical analysis ideas. And I think Odie is just very good at, execution, not really worrying so much about what happened before. I think he's very good at getting in and out of the market and leaving what happened in the past. I never really hear him talking about trades that didn't really work, or even trades that did work. He might give, because we have a group chat that we kind of communicated, and he might give an update because he dropped it. He dropped the trade in the group chat before he took it, so it's he wants to update the people who might have also taken the trade, but he's not really complaining about anything or anything like that. So I think he's very good at what I need to get better at, and kind of leaving the past in the past in terms of the trading. Now, monitoring performance, that's definitely where it's going to be the biggest for me, again, because I'm just a short-term trader. I have the opportunity to take a lot of trades in the day. So because of that, I want to make sure that I am, when I'm taking those trades, I'm executing at the best of my ability at that point, right? So that's why it's a very extensive list, and this is where I built a lot of different things to help me, monitor these things. So it's an end of day emotional temperature check, all these kind of things. Track the trades, that's a very basic one. ASR, which is advanced self-review, which is basically, you journal the trade, you do a chart markup after you take a trade, I would hope. Or even after you don't take a trade, I would hope. But then if you do take a trade, what you also want to do is you want to do a bit deeper of analysis and really get into why you took that trade, how you felt about it when you took it, anything you might have. And I try to do ASR on the weekends outside of trading hours, because it's good to kind of separate that time and take time away from the market and when it actually happened, and just have time to come back to it fresh, right? And, so in that sense, see things that you may not have seen before. Reviewing backtesting notes. I think it's also very important to keep a notebook open while you're doing backtesting. If you're not backtesting for data, keep a notebook open, to just write down tendencies. Something that Amber told me, and this is something else that I think she's very good at, is just thinking of little tweaks and stuff that you can try to your trading. Something that she told me that I still try to practice to this day is, if you walk away from a backtesting session with one thing that you can say, yeah, that's a new idea, or, kind of a 1% tweak. It's kind of what Mark Hutchinson from Falcon Trading Guidance might call it. That's a good session, right? And then lastly, we've got roles. So this is really, what you would use to build out more of the actual business side of it, right? And the fund structure side of it. Because here's the thing, and this is what I loved about Trading Psychology 2.0, is he put to me this idea of, you don't have to do everything in your trading. You actually could go about hiring some people to do some of these things, right? So you could hire an assistant to help you stay on top of news. You could hire an actual trader to help you not only structure trades around, but also make sure that you're following your rules. You could hire a risk manager to make sure that, say, for example, you trade options. You can hire a risk manager to make sure that, if you set up a hedge, the hedge isn't getting blown out the water, or, the other side of the trade isn't getting blown out the water while the hedge isn't making, enough money. Maybe you need to add on to the hedge a little bit, something like that, right? So you can hire out all of these different things. And it's actually something that's, when I started looking into it myself, because that's where that's the ultimate goal to get to with setting up these quantitative algorithms and setting up this, raising capital on the side, is to where I don't have to do every single thing in the business. You know what I mean? My goal personally is to get it to the point where I understand what's going on with the trading. I'm involved in what's going on with the trading and the algorithm and all that kind of stuff, and developing it and helping stay on top of it. But it's not my main job. My main job is out there pounding the pavement, raising capital, because, speaking with people who have done it, and reading articles with people who have done it, I see that a lot of times that is the biggest thing that will help you really get to that next level, right? And get to that next level of AUM, because there's the thing is, you're not, and again, this is from listening to people and reading about people, you're not always going to have good months. You're not always going to be making money, as great as that sounds, especially when you get to higher levels of AUM. It might become harder, especially because just moving in and out of the market with certain size orders becomes a lot more difficult, right? You have to become a better trader. So you're going to probably have to trade different ways than you did in the past. So you're not always going to be making money, you know what I mean? And you want to be able to support yourself at all times, right? You always want to be able to return capital at the end of the quarter, maybe not even at the end of the quarter. Maybe you don't judge yourself on a quarterly basis. Maybe you judge yourself on a yearly basis, which is also a very good thing to do, right? You want to be able to return capital, at the year, and beat the S&P, in that year, that kind of stuff, to make it worth your investors' time. But you have to understand too that you have to eat, you know what I mean? And to really start a real trading business, it's going to take a lot of your time. So that's why the AUM becomes important. That's something I really learned from the hedge fund industry, as terrible as it sounds, because everybody talks about oh, it's just, they're trying to raise more money and raise more money and raise more money. It's and these management fees, blah, blah, blah. It's yeah, I get you. If the hedge fund isn't outperforming the S&P and it's still charging a management fee, that's a problem, right? And that's why I say your goal should always be just to return, beat the S&P each year, enough to where you can return capital to your investors, but you still take your management fee, right? All that kind of stuff. And you could argue whether the management fees are too high, whatever, but management fees are there for a reason, because these people have to eat, and it's not going to, it only being an incentive, you only having an incentive fee, that's going to make it harder for you to stay focused on doing the right thing. And you're only ever going to focus on just making more money, which sounds counterintuitive. You're a hedge fund, why would you want to make more money? But the key with the hedge fund isn't to make 200-300%, it's to hedge out risk. That's why it's called a hedge fund. It's in times of markets like this in 2022, your hedge fund should be making you some money, right? That's what you hope, or at least not losing as much money as everybody else. That is the bare minimum hope, right? So other than that, this kind of the setup of a trading business structure, very basic, and I thought it would be a very easy thing to show you guys to kind of help with that idea of actually taking your trading business to that next level. Because when I did this, I became a lot more serious, and on top of that, I think the most important thing, a lot more efficient with treating my trading like a business. It became very, very easy. It's crazy that once I took the time to sit down and set all of this up, and set up the processes of how I'm going to get into this and do these things. When I tell you, I was able to keep my weekend processes to maybe 2 to 3 hours on Saturday and Sunday, and that's with everything that I'm looking at now. A lot of this stuff would be done on the weekends, and my morning processes were very, very easy to get done, maybe 30 minutes to an hour max if I'm really dragging, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it provides some value to you. Please join us again next time, man. Thank you.